Never the man, never Mr. Popular, but you still took my hand.
Do you understand? So don't go to the session without your notepads and books. Because I know everyone has a notepads and books, but during the sermon you guys are taking notes, right? Yeah. You can't become church not taking notes. That's common. So you get your notepad and books. It's in your room, right? So everyone, you try and get your notepad, your book, and you'll see in your class. So 11 to 13, please make your way to the kitchen.
So you were right.
So you could wear primer. Yeah, you could kind of look nice. If you wear something like that, wear primer and then you make sure something. Let's say you wear. So you just realise you just wear with green.
Yeah.
That's when you start to realise.
So then some you bought trainers of yours. So why did you feel
I feel like it's just that easy.
when you probably get primer from replica?
He was a drag. He wasn't none of them.
But you see why, because obviously Jordan said it's not about obviously it being branded, that makes sure you look good.
Wow.
So your £150 trainers
Dominoes.
is probably in Primark somewhere. Just without the tickle or whatever it is.
Yeah, but that's the point though, that, okay, cool, you don't have to find the words, they don't have to be branded, but it can't be a fake version of it. Now you can wear, let's say, I don't know, like Skechers or something, I'm not too designer, but they're not a fake version of something, then if you get it, like, it's very fake.
So what top is that? What top are you wearing? Where's that from? Do you know?
Yes, I do.
Where's it from?
What top are you wearing? It's still fake.
Okay, cool.
It's actually to make where Mason and Aaron, I think that you can't just buy plain grey tops.
Oh, I do. Sometimes it's
But that one, how much do you spend on that t-shirt?
So you trainers though, so how does that work? Someone say priority. When it comes to money, you have to prioritize where your money goes. If you don't, you'll be shocked how quickly your money will go. Some people are quick to buy cars, some people are quick to buy designer, and you know it's your money, so do whatever you want if you want. You want to go and spend it on your boyfriend. Go and give all your money to your boyfriend. It's your life, it's your money. So understand that you account to how you're spending your money. Because the reality is those things are borrowing money. What do you guys think about borrowing money to friends and family? As in you giving it to them? Yeah, like, oh yeah, I need money, like I need like £50 to tie me over.
Necessary.
You know what?
If you don't have.
Yeah, I was about to say, just don't, okay, obviously you'll want it back, yeah, but don't like rely on, so if it's like, if you have £100, you need that 50 back, don't, because more time you're not going to get paid back.
Don't make it your only option, that's what I say.
Yeah.
But let's say you've got the money. I've got £2,000 in my hand. Okay, I'm working now, right? So if one of you said you need £50, even if I don't get it back, it's not going to kill me. So does that mean I can give you the money? What do you mean on this?
I don't see it.
When you say can, what do you mean? Do you mean can?
Like, so like when we said, oh, I'm top like
In cases though, if you know that person's reliable and they actually need the money, they need to help trainers.
Okay, so let me guys say something when it comes to money. Oh, this one, make sure you note this one down somewhere in your heart. In your heart, if it's money, if it's changes, I don't know what it's about money. This one. I don't know what it is about money. I don't care. Your dad?
you bro, but some people think and watch leaning not work.
So the reason why I've already said it's a thing you have to we'll pay you back. Listen, no one gives money to someone. No one borrows money to someone without the intention of getting it back. Because there's a difference between me giving you money and me borrowing money. Borrowing means I intend on getting it back. Giving means keep it and enjoy it. Do you understand? So people borrow money and a lot of them don't get it back. So my advice to all of you is don't borrow money. That is my advice to you. If you want to give someone money, cool. So I need £50. No, I can't give 50, but I can give you 30. Keep it, don't be bad. If you put yourself in a position whereby you don't mind borrowing people's money, if you're not careful, a day will come where you won't get your money back and you'll be hurt. That is my advice.
They said they're gonna pay
At some point it was kind of one-on-one with the families. It'd be split. So it'd be like my mum and boss there one day, and then my mum and TK, and then my mum and me, and then we were all like, wait, hold on, we need to coordinate because everyone was losing out at some point. So now we have a committee. That's basically. But so the three of us basically had to, because we're a big family and there's a lot of people in the house, and what we just realised was, because each person felt like they were taking a hit, we weren't like focusing like saving priorities and things like that. So what we had to do was essentially sit down and talk about it and say how much should each person be doing at any given time, and then kind of say, okay, if your priority is to maybe save more at this time, then we'll pick up this part. Or if you have to deal with this thing, then I just won't do this other thing. Or we'll all deal with it together, or maybe this month what we're just going to do this. And then kind of take more joint action so it doesn't feel like the burden is on one person. And I think that really made it a lot better, because it doesn't really feel like any one person's carrying the burden anymore. But at some point, especially because boss is the oldest and then there's TK, when they started working and I was still at uni, and then I was working, so I didn't feel like I was taking anything, but they were pouring, so they were losing. I wasn't making anything, and so no one was better off.
Honestly, the bad way is get involved if you get involved. The bad way is when you sell meat to people, and the good way
Can I challenge that? I think the best way to make your money is to actually work. Because if you sell drugs and stuff like that, you take you're taking the easy way out. So if you work, your money, you understand the pain that your parents are going through in order to provide for you. Of what? Or why do you need to buy trainers?
What about education?
Yeah.
You have to go.
Yeah, you take
when I'm GCS, why do you want to
You
can't get back in jail.
there's no consequence. There is a consequence. You can't get caught.
You get caught, it's going to be hard to get out. You're going to get into a dictatorship. Also, you might get wanted by other people because you don't take people. No, like people who are involved, like police, people who are involved in the traffic scene, and moreover, basically, you just get caught.
If you sell drugs, you're more likely to take the drugs as well.
I don't hear him.
I'm gonna sell drugs. They know never to take them.
There's this guy in my school was in the living, it's called Kyrie, and he sells like drugs and stuff like that. So we went to this guy member selling him drugs. We went to this guy member selling him drugs, and then thinking, what's it? He said, give me all of it for free, or I'll stab you. Then he didn't give it and he died. So not my friend.
Okay, so the boy was selling.
He wanted to start selling. No, it was like, I think he's like, well, it should be in 2 years college now, but
penny over your salary, you don't get a penny less. What you get is what you get. Which means if you dip in too much, the next month you're in deficit, and you get more money after that. So it got to a point, I guess similar to yourself, my sister's, I've got an older sister, and when I was at uni, she was taking up the bill, blah blah blah. So through that, she got herself in a bit of a pickle. When I started working, I was like, okay, I understand what you've been doing, sis. Okay, let me help out. But whilst I was doing that, I got myself in a bit of a pickle, and the trend carried on, and I was like, this can't keep happening. You know what I mean? So then it got to a point where I don't know. I just had like a woo moment when I was like, maybe let's set a contract. So we're trying to obviously help my dad at the time because he went into full-time administration, which meant chucked into any environment. So I'm an engineer, that's my branch, that's my trade, but I can get thrown into a medical field to lead and manage. Because leading and managing is, you don't have to be technical in that area of this transferable, that's what I'm looking for. So you're first an officer in the RF, then you have your specialty. My specialty involves looking after like the air assets in the UK. So the idea of the RF is to protect the UK airspace and to work with our allies, so America and other Nigeria is like one of our allies. We've got Nigeria in there, we've got Kenyans in there, we've got guys in the Philippines, we've got guys in Kuwaiti Air Force that come into the UK to work with us and see how we do things. But the RF as a whole, as a body of organisation, we are involved, or we get involved in protecting the UK airspace, working with allies, humanitarian sort of aid. So during the flooding in Manchester or up north, RF got involved with helping to sandbag that and set up a boundary around where an area was flooded basically. Getting past the boring bit, what the RF allows you to do, which is another reason why I wanted to join, is you can have a sport and get paid for your sport. So people that are like into football, but I'm into basketball and boxing, I can take a month out of work and still get paid whilst I'm boxing around the world, for example. That's one of the perks. Another perks is, you know how some of us are too insular, like we like our tall buildings and our oyster cars and our red buses and our underground and stuff. RF likes to get you out of your comfort zone because you wouldn't, if you're stuck in your comfort zone, you won't grow as a human being. So they like to stretch you. And part of the stretch activities I like to do, I like to jump out of aircrafts, put my life on the line. It's fun, but the idea is it's called resilience training. And the idea behind that is when you're in a situation of panic, you still got to lead the people that are following you. So you can't get flustered and say, okay, become insular and look after number one. You've got to look after number one, but you've got to bear in mind that you're looking after other people. So I've had to walk into a gas chamber and perform like gas drills and being able to it's called done your mask, so putting your mask on and breathing and making sure that you don't get affected by the gas whilst leading men around you and women around you. Yeah, so it's quite intense basically, but that's what I read.
Anyone have a question?
Yes. What do you mean by like box on the world?
Boxing around the world. So when I was at uni, I was part of the boxing society. So that's something that I did to keep me fit and just to be able to, I guess, defend myself in the situation was to rise, for example. But it's just sports in general. So people play box, people play football, basketball, netball. But because the RF is so involved in people's fitness, because if you're not fit, you have to be fit to work in the RF basically, to work in the military. So they invest in that physical sort of fitness aspect of your life, and at the end of the day, sports brings people together. So it's another part of it's a way we socialize also. So in the military there's ranks. So you've got your lower ranks, you've got your higher ranks. But when you play sport, you bring all of that together. So it's a way for you to meet your managers and to meet the guys to just say that I'm human. Yes, I might be a chief of the air staff or like a big boy up there with the rank slides and stuff, but I'm still human and you can still talk to me, you can still tackle me and we can have bats and talk about it, do you know what I mean?
Right. Do you feel like boxing now?
Pardon? Yeah, I do. Angel got the rich recently, I was sad.
So it's like aeronautical engineering, right? Well, like what grades do you do? What subjects do you do?
So, that's a very good because, okay, you're meant to, I'll understand that. They tell you, I remember when I was at college, I got told I had to do physics, math with mechanics, and maths in general. But I was rubbish at physics. I got E in physics. And I think when I did it again, I got a D. And my teacher was like, are you sure you want to do aerospace engineering? And I was like, yeah. In my math, I got a C. But sometimes it's how you apply yourself, do you know what I mean? But at university, I did aerospace engineering, got a 2 and got first in my degree. However, I'm still rubbish at physics, low key. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it just goes to show that you can it's not about your grades sometimes. If you're passionate about what you want to do in life, and your attitude is right, and you've got God, that's why we're here, you know what I mean? Like, with God, it doesn't matter what you have on papers, the favour, that's why we're tapping into God's divine favour. That's why we're here, you know what I mean? So, I can tell you I go and eat, and I dropped physics after A-levels, and I'm working as an aerospace systems engineering career. That's what
You like 6 months at a time and then come back to civilization.
So the way it works is, because I'm still undergoing training, so the first part of the training is how to, you guys want to know, you shoot a rifle or you bust guns. No, you don't bust guns. No, you don't do that. But it's 6 months training for the militarization and then after, administer the first aid and all that basic life skill. And the other 6 months is for your technical skills. Then when you get into the actual role itself, you get deployed for like a year and a half. You can get deployed for a year and a half, depending on what sort of trade you're into, but it varies.
And they call you at any time.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good question.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so he's here the whole week, so speak to him if you've got more questions. Now we're going to move on to our sister Tolu, and she's going to tell us about what she does and how she got into it. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tolu. So I'm a lawyer. I do law. How I got into it, I studied law. You don't have to study law, that's the first thing I'll say. I studied law at university. And I just always wanted to be a lawyer, so it was kind of more straightforward for me. So basically I'm a commercial lawyer, which means I help businesses run, essentially. So I'm a commercial lawyer at one of the magic circles.
Which one?
Can Charles. No one's going to know what that means.
I don't know. I just don't know what it has that.
So we have a lot of really big international clients. So I've been training for the last 2 years. And my training is basically helping other lawyers trying to figure out how to get things done for businesses. And so my job is a bit difficult to explain. So it's either I'm drafting something, or I'm writing an email about something, or I'm calling someone to ask about something. But it's really just helping businesses do what they need to do. So if they need to borrow money from another bank, they can do that. If they want to issue shares, everybody knows what shares and bonds are. We help them do that. If a company wants to buy another company or sell another company, we can help them do these things. So essentially we're learning how to run a business and how to help businesses run. And that's probably the missing way of explaining my job. So my training, how it works is you study law or you study something as an undergrad, and then you have to do law school. So if you want to, I don't know how many people in here are about to go to uni, I never did American. But if you're thinking of doing something like law, anything in the financial services industry, you don't actually have to study the specific subject. So you don't really have to be good at law or have done it from college, which is something I didn't know. But you can study anything and then just do a conversion course, and then get into law. You train for 2 years, and in that time you rotate around whichever firm you're in. So you can do, like I said, you have different departments. So you can do like corporate work, which is like just helping corporates either sell or buy another one, or financing. So like I said, loans or bonds, issuing things, getting money. And I've been moving around for the last 2 years. I've had really good opportunities. I was able to move to Brazil last year for 6 months to work over there. So I've done some New York law work as well. And yeah, I'm about to finish my training, so I'm actually...
So I have a question. Can you tell us what the difference is between being a solicitor and a barrister?
Yes. So in the UK, there is a distinction between a solicitor and a barrister. So a barrister is essentially someone that spends all of their time in court. There's the people with the higher, it's called higher rights. They have the rights to present in court and to kind of argue a case with someone. So the only time they're really doing it is if someone is either getting sued or they have some kind of civil case going on, which is what I think a lot of people think about when they think of law. I, on the other hand, am about to become a solicitor, and that's more transactional, is the word that we use for it, because we're just, a lot of it is piecing things together. So we're not really, some of our lawyers do things that end up in court, but we will never be the ones going to a judge and saying, okay, X, Y, Z, unless you attain those higher rights. So there's a distinction. In the US, you're just an attorney, which is everything. So you can go to court one day, you can help someone get a loan the next day, you can help someone with a criminal case one day, a civil case the other day. Here it is a bit more of a distinction, and you kind of have to find your own little niche. So I'm a commercial lawyer, which means I will not be helping anyone with criminal charges. That's how it works. You kind of have to take those. You have to. So you have to. I don't know why in the UK it's a bit more because you have to train for a longer period here. The law is made. It's a profession, which means you have to. It's a vocation. You have to spend your time in and building your experience. So you can't just say, oh, I spent 2 years in a law firm. Yeah, sure, I can help you. I don't know, beat a murder charge. No, I can't. But that's just how it's split here. So a lot of people make that decision sometime during uni based on what they study, whether they want to be a barrister at court or not, or whether they want to do general kind of transactional work, which is what I did.
So do you know how you said that it takes something to train in the UK? If you train in the US for a short time and go to the UK, you still get the same hierarchy?
No, just so in the US, they have to do undergrad. It's because of how their university works. So they have to do 4 years undergrad, and then they have to go to law school for like 3 years. So they study for 7 years, and then they're instantly a lawyer once they take the final exam. I studied for 3 years, then I did 1 year of like intensive law school, and then I trained for 2 years. So what's that? 6? Maths. But yeah, basically, I think it's because in the US law school is more intensive. You spend 3 years doing the actual training and learning part at the same time. If you watch a lot of the US TV shows, you see that like law students get to work at the same time as they are at law school, whereas they can just kind of do law school really and then train intensively for 3 years.
Any other questions?
How many hours do you work in a day? Because I think it seems really glamorous and she sounds really, wow, but then she works crazy. Sometimes I'm not seeing her the whole week.
It varies, is the answer. The worst week I've done, I've been in the office for about 90 hours a week. Not all of it is billable. That's the thing. I'm trying to like. Basically, the times where I get home, so I get to work every day at like 9:30, and sometimes I'm there till 6 p.m., which is fine. Sometimes I'm there till 8, which is still okay. Sometimes I'm there till 12. Sometimes I'm there till 3, and then I'll be back at 9. But that's because that's mainly because of the area of law that I do, commercial law, because banks are, a lot of our clients are banks and they're very demanding. It doesn't really make sense. But that's how the industry has grown, and lawyers have to learn to be more efficient. And we always say we can deliver it ASAP, because if we can't deliver it, someone else will give them the service. So that's why sometimes we just kind of stay in there. But then sometimes I'm homeless.
But I think, I just wanted to say something, I think it's really important because now she's almost done, she's done training, and then she's, she can work whatever hours she wants. You always have to, there's always the sacrifice, you always have to put in the time, and then get the rewards at the end. You're your own person, you're making your own big money and doing big jobs.
One more question before we move on.
How much do you earn in a year?
Give a range. But then sometimes that's the only thing people leave with. Yeah. It's not ideal. Currently at a Magic Circle firm, so like we were saying, there are groups of firms, some really good firms. I'm blessed to go to a really, really good firm. So in the last 2 years, my salary range was between 48K to 52K.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to mention again that it seems really easy, but the people in this room are very, 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 very hard. And to get into a magic law, a magic circle law firm, it's not an easy thing. Some of you have no idea what that means. What is that? It's not easy. Firstly, it's not easy to get a job. Do you know what I mean? So bear that in mind when it comes to these type of things. Thank you so much. Next.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
So, I'm Gabriel, if you don't know, and I'm a business analyst working for Santander UK.
Yes, you are.
So just to take a step back, I studied economics with econometrics at SOAS, University of London.
Yes, you did.
So it's quite a lot of numbers, but you don't really need an economics background or something really difficult to work in the finance industry. So in terms of what I do, I'm a business analyst, like I said earlier, and what a business analyst essentially does is to implement change within the organization. So even though all these banks report you profits on a year-to-year basis, upwards of 400 to 500 million, every single financial institution aims to reduce the cost, so the operating cost on a day-to-day basis. So as an analyst, the main key skills I would say you need to have are your soft skills, simply because you're trying to get people to buy into the change you're trying to implement. So if I come across as someone nasty, someone rude, there is no reason why they should opt me, simply because they decide essentially on the long run. Even though the business is saving money, there is no reason why they should support what I'm trying to do, simply because I'm not coming across in the right way. So the two main key skills I think you need in any organization even, you need your time management to be on point, simply because you can't really set up a meeting and run into the meeting 15 minutes late. I think that's what Robert Tully was touching up earlier as well, because that's just a bad look in itself. And your organizational skills are quite needed as well, simply because there's so much going on within the financial world. There is so much moving parts at the same time, so you have to be able to basically handle these things and just, what's the word? That's when you do two things at the same time. Multitask, yeah. Your multitasking skills are so important, because if you can't really multitask, there is no point of you going to a place, because you're not going to get just one thing to do. You're going to have to do many things at the same time just to get to the end point, which is the overall cost saving which the bank is trying to implement. And in terms of working hours, on a typical day I get to the office around 8:30, 8:45, and I'm there till around 5, sometimes 4:46. But the standard hours are 9 to 5, but again, in order to get what you want, you have to put in the extra hours. If I come in at 9 a.m. in the morning, and at 4:59.55, I'm carrying my bag, I'm leaving, people see what you do. So it's about putting in the extra effort, it's about putting in the extra hours, or putting the effort as well, like I said earlier, just to get to that goal. Because sometimes you could potentially have a call where you have to model a process just to see how you can implement change, like I said earlier.
What does modeling the process mean?
Good question. So if I say I want to get from here to London, you can either, let's say we take a coach, you have to walk to the coach station, buy your tickets, get on the coach, and then get to London. However, that's the current process. You can then model something different from the as-is process, which is you're taking a coach, to your to-be model, which could be flying. So instead of taking a coach, you could go to an airport, jump on a plane, and get to your destination. And that difference that you've made from your as-is process to your to-be is a time saving. So instead of taking 6 hours in your coach, you take 2 hours by flying. And that 4 hours, if you translate that into the business world, saves a lot of money for CEOs or whatnot.
And you're the one that...
Yeah, that's what business analysts do. You have to think of those processes and how to improve what you currently do.
Just for the people.
Yeah, it's my turn.
You're using the
In terms of hours, like I said, my advice would be when you eventually get any work you do, always try to do above and beyond. Always go the extra length. Another example I could give was my manager was going to go to Bradford. I live in Milton Keynes because that's where I work. And she fell sick the day before. And I didn't know what she was going to do, but she gave me context. And I basically had to travel 4 hours to Bradford for a 5:30 a.m. start for something I wasn't even planning on doing the day before. So I think if you go above and beyond, people recognize what you do. And definitely the reward will come, because you will find yourself in positions where you've not even dreamt of getting into. Yeah, I'll take any questions.
About what he does.
I think as what I'd say, right,
don't focus too much. Sorry, Tony. Don't focus too much on the pay. Because if you start and you're thinking, I want to make the most money now, you would just box yourself in this area where your growth is somewhat limited. But if you think like, oh, I'm just getting into a field now. If I was going to take 18,000 where I was going to start working 8 to 6 in recruitment, I was going to take that. Because simply what you need when you start a job is to get as much skills as you want.
Yeah.
Get your CV to that level,
Yeah.
so when you walk into another interview when they're offering 50k, you have something better to say than the people that have been starting 30k that have no experience.
Can I just add to that as well? So you might start the job thinking, okay, so this is the pay range I'm supposed to be getting and aiming at that's what you're supposed to be getting. But you get into the jobs and there will be other opportunities to find other things. So if you go into the job because of the salary, you might use, like you said, you're going to close yourself up to so many other things. So the salary should definitely be, I understand it can be attractive, but it shouldn't be your main focus. Love what you're doing first, and then everything else will follow.
Questions? Anyone at the back? Yes.
Good question.
Yeah, what was the question?
Do you enjoy what you do?
Yeah, because there's certain zones you have in work. So there's your comfort zone, there's your peak performance zones, and there's your stretch zones. A lot of people within finance often find themselves in that stretch zone when you have a lot of things to do, a lot of deliverables, and that's where you perform at your best. In terms of enjoying what I do, yeah, why not? You think a lot. There's critical thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm a primary school teacher.
Hey.
But yeah, I like to obviously switch up. Once I need to go, I don't want to be a teacher. So I'm doing first to get but yeah, I've just finished my first year and I've actually enjoyed this. I work at a school that's a lot of underprivileged children, and compared to obviously children that have everything, I prefer to be in that school. Like we had our Ofsted in January and we got requires improvement. So obviously Ofsted are still on to us, but when doing it for the kids, it's all about getting them where they didn't think they could be. And a lot of my children are kids that I'm probably a better mum than their own mum. And that's what's really sad about it. I'm very passionate about it because I feel like it came from me being very maternal. Obviously the gap between me and my siblings is very big, so I had that responsibility of being the mum.
The way she's mumming to you.
So yeah, so when I do like speak to her, it's not from a harsh place, it's from a motherly place. Yeah.
Questions? Yes.
I know you said that you always went into teaching because like you always had to be kind of promoted. But like, was there any reason that was like primary school teaching because they were allowing to the secondary school?
Can't work for primary school children, you can mold them, whereas secondary school children, teachers think that they've got it, whereas primary school you can mold them and then hopefully change this generation.
Questions?
I have one.
Is it also true that you get 3 months off in the summer? No, so we finished on the 20th of July. We get 6 weeks off, but obviously I went to Nigeria last week, went to camp this week, and then obviously the next couple of weeks I'm going back to school to obviously sort out my classroom and plan for the next week.
Yeah.
So I don't get my teachers.
Answer your question.
Yes, I have one. What's the training to be a teacher? What do you need?
Basically, you don't have to do any kind of. So I started off doing health and social care at college, then university I did childcare a bit more. But actually, all you need is a teacher training, which is PGC, which I did. So it doesn't matter what your undergrad is, as long as you do your 1 year teacher training, then you're qualified to be a teacher.
I'll take 2 more questions. I've got one here and I've got one at the back.
What's the small point?
Next question. Attention to detail, that's what it
I'm a physician associate.
You're what?
I'm a physician associate. And just to differentiate it, so I'm trained with the medics, but I'm not a medical doctor. That makes sense. So it's a postgraduate degree, and you do it after studying any life sciences course. So biomedical scientist, pharmacist, nursing, anyone with a PhD in life sciences can do this course for 2 years. It's a 2 years intensive course at universities, and when I trained, it was done by most medical schools, so you'd be training with the junior doctors with you. But now we have our own schools coming up around the
corner, but normally you would do it for 2 years, no breaks apart from Easter, December, and 2 weeks in August. And you would study everything like the medical students would do, and you would go on placement, so you learn while you're studying. You work, how do I do it? You do a work experience while you're studying as well, so you kind of learn on the job. And I graduated 2 years ago, and I'm currently working in liver, gallbladder, and pancreas surgery. And I basically just see mostly cancer patients and patients with gallstones and things. So when you finish training, you're trained to work in any area of medicine that you like, in emergency medicine, in surgery, in GP practice, or in a hospital if there's a heart or rest or whatever system you'd like. And the idea of our role is I'm sure you've all heard of
We've got the time, let's take 2 questions at a time. So let's take a first question. Yeah.
So what was your journey like? Because I know a lot of people, your parents say, do medicine. But it's so hard. And a lot of people have failed, and a lot of people, to get into medical school is really, really hard. So for Bossa, it's this new role, this PA role, has kind of pushed her in the path, even though it was really, really hard. But then they made them new, so explain how hard it was.
Do we have another question? Do we have another question? Yes.
What did you get in your GCSEs?
So if you answer that, please, and what you got in your GCSEs as well, please.
I don't remember, but I got nothing below a B.
You better.
Because, okay, so I wanted to study medicine initially, and this is what she means. So when I was really young, I knew I wanted to do medicine. I don't know why. So I've always been drawn to that. I really like sciences. I loved chemistry when I was in school. So I went to college, did chemistry, did physics, did further maths, did all the jazz. And then I applied to medical schools, but only in London because I didn't want to move out of home, and I was scared. I got 2 interviews. I got 1 offer, but it was the offer I got wanted me to get 1 A star and 2 A's. Sure. I didn't get my A star, so I ended up doing biomedical science as my undergrad. Finished that. It was okay, I guess. The part that I liked. I hated the lab part of it because you're just there looking at the freaking pipette. Anyway, so I graduated. I went to the labs. I worked for a year in the labs. But I loved going to work, but I hated my job. If that makes sense. I loved being there, like every day I'm ready. I had a car, so I would just drive down singing songs, recording myself and all this crap. But then I get to work, but the thing that's supposed to be exciting me, like the actual job, I used to be, one of my roles was I would go to theatres to take the human specimens and then cut them up and look at them under the microscope. It sounds exciting in theory, but I was just... The role I wanted was to have my own independence and seeing people and asking them about what's wrong with them. Putting those pieces together and go, oh, I have a headache, my left eye hurts, and my left, I've got like this bruise on my left leg, and be able to piece them together and say, this is what you've got, this is what you should do, and then watching them come back and say, what you told me works. So after a year, I was bored, and I think I told my class this. Just one day, I was staring outside the window. Somebody came into the room and said, have you heard about this new role coming up? She associate. I said, what is that? I don't know what it is. So they opened it up on the website, and I think in my classroom members, I told them, I don't even remember applying for this course. And the next thing I knew, I got an email and I had an interview. So I had to call them and tell my mum first that, oh, I got this job. And I don't know what it is. She's like, okay, so what is it? I was like, oh, it's a physician associate, and they're basically training them to be medical. So are you going to be a doctor? No. So what is it that you do? So I list everything again. We see patients, we do the medications, we do all this thing. And she's like, so you're doing a doctor's job? I said, yeah. So but you're not a doctor? I said, no. and then I told her it was in Liverpool, and she was like, that's okay. And I was like, no, I'm not moving to Liverpool. And she's like, no, you have to go because this is closer to what you want to do than being in the labs. So for me in this place, my comfort was staying in London and staying at home. My sisters were at home, my brother was at home, my mom's at home. I did not want to go outside London. So she was like, okay, just go for the interview, see what you like. Went for the interview, got it, and she was like, okay, you're going. So I moved for 2 years. I did the course and I came back. And I could tell you, like, from the first week, I sent my mum a picture of my student ID card that says student position associate. And she was like, I can already tell you're so happy. This is doing what you're doing. I lost so much weight in like the first 3 weeks because I was away from almost cooking, first of all. So I didn't have much money because I had my car on finance and saving. Finance today was probably for me as well. I didn't really do well with saving. So in my first 3 months in Liverpool, I kind of struggled a bit, so I didn't eat as much as it, so I lost a lot of weight. But through that struggle, I was so happy because I was doing what I wanted. So basically, the moral of the story is you might start off wanting to do one thing, and everyone has their different paths. And majority of the people will follow a straight line, but for you, it might take turns and turns. But yeah.
My name is Myra, and in a nutshell, I work in media. How to explain it? So, my main job, I'm a communications executive. So what I do is I oversee kind of like diversity and inclusion, making sure that this predominantly white company knows how to communicate to non-white people through videos, photography, social media. So like commission people to film stuff for us or take photos for us. I oversee like written copy for websites and leaflets and flyers. So that's like my main job. I'm an avid believer in side hustles, so I'm a freelancer. So in that, I freelance write. So I've written for The Guardian, Stylist, and Glamour magazine. And I film myself, and not film myself, but I film and I take photos for like wedding companies and black-owned businesses when they have like, events and stuff. So I put things together for them. And also for like other NGOs around the country. So I've just recently finished a project for Diabetes UK. And that's basically, yeah, what I do.
Okay, so 2 questions please. Yep, so I've got one here, yep.
What was the right wording for those? Because I'm also doing my master's part-time.
Casually.
And my master's is in race, media, and social justice.
What did you study?
For my undergrad, I studied media with Spanish, but you don't need a degree to do any of the stuff I do, to be honest.
So you're fluent in Spanish?
I'm alright. I now just respond in English, to be honest, but I can get by in Spanish.
She speaks Spanish.
If I had to.
That's why you're here.
One more question. One more question? No. Please.
What's the question? I do kind of, but like the past 2 months have been like a lot. So I've just come back from holiday, hence why I've like only been yesterday. And that was my first holiday here, and I've tried to go away like 3 times a year. So that's like, it's been hectic the past couple of months, but generally I plan my time. It's all about planning. If you don't plan, then you'll finish. So yeah. Really? So there's times when I'll be like, I might go to work and then on the train back, I might be writing an article on my phone. Yeah, because one time I had to go to like the Black Panther premiere. I had 2 articles to write and I was coming back from work. So I was writing an article on the train and then I had to go get dressed for the premiere, and then when it finished, I was up until like 4 AM finishing 2 articles and then had to go to an interview for my master's at the time.
Nice. Don't ask question about that. Put your hands up.
Let's leave it there, sorry. But please do pick up with these people afterwards.
Thank you.
Hi guys. Hi. So first, I just want to encourage you guys. Because honestly, I was like you and I had all these people telling me, oh, you're not listening, oh, you're not listening, oh, you're not that. But honestly, you can really do anything if you set your mind to it. You have God on your side. I wasn't the smartest. I tell people all the time, we grew up in Kano in Nigeria. My dad, my sisters were so smart that he would buy a bicycle for them because they were always first in class. But me, I was always 13 or 14 or something, so I never got a bicycle. But my point, and I always eventually a pity bicycle. But eventually, and I remember I had to take. I was the only one having lessons. Even GCSE here, I had a teacher for GCSE. But my point is, I wasn't always the smartest, you know. But then God just changed it around.
What did you do?
I'll get there. I went to uni, I went to college. My mom, medicine. So I signed up to college to do biology, chemistry, maybe not physics, psychology, and then maybe English. And then I got there and I just felt like, no, it's not me. And I just randomly picked. I was like, okay, I'll pick random things. Accounting, I'll keep psychology, and then I got business because it's basic. And you know, but my point is that sometimes God just leads you, even when you just feel so lost and you feel so dumb and you just feel like I don't know what I want to do in life. Anyways, I went to uni, I did accountancy. First year, I almost failed. My family don't know. First year, I almost failed. Second year, and I wasn't even on campus. I didn't even go to one uni party. I've never been to a uni rave, so it wasn't even like. But it was just me. It was just me, and I think it was like Vampire Diaries time. So I'll always go home and watch Vampire Diaries or something. But anyways, second year I did blah. Third year, and then me and my friends were just talking one day. I was like, oh, I'm a first class babe. I was like, first class babe, and I was like, okay, actually, I'm gonna get a first class. So I decided maybe like 4 months till the end of my third year that I want to get a first class. So I went to see my lecturer, and then she was like, this is what you need to get 90% in here. Anyway, by God's mercy and grace, and honestly, not just prayer and hard work, I really dedicated myself to it. I graduated with a first class, that's that. And then, you think you have first class, you get a job so easily. You don't. I was at home for 6 months, eventually I got a job. Then I left that job because they didn't want to pay for my ACCA. I got a job that paid for my ACCA. So I did accountancy, graduated in accountancy. Then I qualified as a management accountant in an accounting firm. And that's when it started to change. And you know, I realized that God was really helping me in my studies. If I sat down, all I needed to do was sit down and read, and everything bounced to stop in my head. And I was working full time and doing my ACC at the same time. And God was really helping me in my work. Because I was working long hours, I was studying at lunchtime, I was staying after work to study, doing my ACCA. I passed all. Well, you guys heard testimony, but anyways, I worked really hard, you know, and God helped me. God crowned my success, regardless of coming from going to India for work. And then I started applying for audits, so I moved from accountancy into audits because I wanted to travel with work. As an auditor, you get to travel. So I told them I wanted to go to India, and it's really funny. I was telling my sisters, I digress a little bit. Sorry. So I told God I wanted to go to India for an audit. I don't know what company, I didn't have a job, I didn't know India, I just wanted to go to India. And it's crazy because, actually I won't digress, it's not important. So I got a job in audit. So I got a job in audit and I get to travel, you know, and it's been honestly, it's just been God with my hard work. You can't just sit down and say, I want this. Let me tell you the benefits of my job. I get to save a lot of money. Don't tell mom, but I should be saving a lot of money, but I have the opportunity to save a lot of money because I'm always out of the country. So I'm not spending money on food, I'm not spending money on TFL, I'm not spending money on Uber because I'm always away. So I'm always on company expenses. I eat at nice places, I stay in nice hotels. Honestly, and this is all the perks of working hard and then crowning it as well with God's favor that's on you. And going back to the India thing, India could have happened and I'd have missed youth revival. I was like, God, I don't want to miss youth revival. So now India's not happening till later. But God has fulfilled that as well. And I just want to encourage you, you can do anything. Work hard, 50 jobs in a day. You have to be resilient, go for it, you can do anything. But I also have a charity.
Question.
Oh, me? Can you please tell us about that charity you just mentioned?
Yes. So I was turning 25 and I'm a Lagos baby, Devon clocked. And I go to Nigeria quite a lot, and there was one time I went to Nigeria and there was just nothing to do, so I went to this orphanage and I started working with this orphanage, and then that kind of like grew into me working with a school, and then I was turning 25, I was like, oh God, what can I do? I was like, oh, let me start my own charity. So I now have a charity, and we sponsor kids to school, to go to school, kids in slum communities. You know Macapole? Who knows Macapole? We know
because we've been following
it's very, very dirty. I'm from my charity at the Science Foundation on Instagram. But we sponsor kids to go to school. We have 600 kids that we've built schools for, and then we're building our third school with massive programs. It's going to take 400 more kids. So by September, the new school term, we're going to have 1,000 kids.
Before we do our last person, yes.
Okay, with your charity, how do you actually, like, you have a place, like, when you base, like, when you're...
Headquarters.
Headquarters.
Yeah,
How do you fund that? Do you do it with the charity money or your own money?
Do you fund it with your own money or with the charity money?
Fund what?
Like,
charity. If you guys don't know, a lot of you guys have been to my charity events. Number 1, number 2, number 3. You guys all come, so I charge people a lot of money to come to my event.
That's why you have to make it so you can go to a charity.
And we raise money, we fundraise. I'm trying to look at how I can get all these massive corporations, can you please hook me up, to give us money for charities as well. But we mainly fundraise. If you want to donate, please let me know.
Plug.
Thank you so much. Okay, so last but not least.
Do I have to stand up?
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Where do I start? So I work as a government and public sector innovation consultant. It's a lot of words. And what it basically means, and I chose to go into government and public sector, what it means is I help the government and public sector, and sometimes maybe like international charities, to understand what they need to do to move ahead strategically. I can't tell you what I do, so I'll give you examples. So for example, I would help the UK government with Brexit, or I'll be in Westminster dealing with like the Northern Ireland Irish border. What do we do? What's Brexit? Why is Brexit happening? Or I worked with the British Red Cross. They're becoming, so British Red Cross is a big international charity firm, and they are turning 100 next year, and they needed to understand how they can be innovative, which is how do we do creative stuff and like target young demographic and blah, blah, blah. So they're like, you seem to know stuff, can you help us with that? Or at the moment, I am an innovation designer at my company's Global Innovation Center. And what that means is we have like maybe Google or Facebook, or we have like Royal Caribbean, which is like cruise ships. So we have the executive boards. We don't work with, we have the CEOs, the CFO, the C blah 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 CCCs. They call them the C-suites. They basically come in and maybe we call them either a day or 3 days. So the 3 to 4 days are sprints. And they say, we don't know what we want to do, what we want to change. Facebook, for example, came in and they said, we as an executive board of Facebook want to enter the Nigerian market. We want to go into the Nigerian market, and we want to target the Instagram platform of Nigerians who advertise, but we're not making money off of it. So how do we understand what's going on, and what do we do? So we, for example, will then create, the executives will come in, we'll create this kind of, what does Nigeria feel like? Who are Nigerians? Who are your target audience? I would have done research and spoken to like the Nigerian Instagrammers who are advertising, for example, And then we would create, if they're like, we don't understand, as Facebook, we don't really move quickly enough, so now people don't know, they don't know their market, blah, blah, blah. So for example, we would create on the first day, a room like this, which is like heaven. We make it like heaven. It's a balloon, it's blue, it's lights, and then we create hell, and that's called utopia or dystopia. Utopia is what happens if you decide to enter the Nigerian market. What does that look like? So they come in and it's all like ethereal, it's like, and obviously we have content on the wall. And dystopia is red, it's like angry music, and then we divide people into that. And so you create, my point is you create creative stuff to make people think, to make leadership think in a different way. So that's what I'm currently doing. My job changes, so this finishes quite soon, and then as a consultant, you evolve almost, so I started as a business analyst, and it evolves to what I think Sister Buster was saying, it's evolved into me helping on 3 Brexit issues, where I was working on to God knows when, and they decided, oh no, we're not going to do that, and so all your work is like, okay. To me helping at the Home Office and creating an app that the people that will be exiting EU will be using, to what I'm doing now. So I can't come to Youth Revival because on the 26th we have some massive innovation blah 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 coming in, and I'm the innovation designer for that. Which means I facilitate, so executive board comes in and I do what I do. You know, if you've been in my class, so that's what we did in class is a small scale of what I would do if I was with executive. That's my job.
Questions for the executive? Somebody design someone.
Don't ask me how much I am.
Do you have any jobs occasional or constant?
Do I have any jobs that keeps?
Is your job occasional?
Occasional or constant?
So the longer you stay, the more flexibility you have, and the better you are at your job, the more they want to keep you. So my job changes, and my role can change. So it's almost like if I was in camp, I could be the teacher, and that could be my job. So I'm teaching classes, and that could be my job. But I could also decide on Wednesday I kind of want to change, and I want to be the person that preaches every day. So and then if, for example, because I'm so good at teaching, they decided, actually I said we need you until the end of the year. So for the Brexit one, I wanted to leave after I did Home Office, because it was hard and I was working long hours and it was boring. It wasn't boring, it was just really hard because they didn't know what they want. And I had to come up with how to solve Brexit. And I wanted to leave, so I said I wanted to leave Home Office. So I left that role at the Home Office doing Brexit, but then I became known as a Brexit consultant. So HMRC called me and I had to go to Westminster and do more Brexit stuff. Because, so you become known for something, the better you are at it. But because I'm also good, and I've been there for a while, you can kind of say, okay, I want to finish this role by August, can you figure it out? In theory.
Where do you see yourself in the future? Because it seems like, I feel like you might go into politics, that's the question I wanted to ask.
Do I want to go into politics? Yeah. So the dream, I wanted to, so someone saying how she wants to do medicine, I've always wanted to work with the UN, I've always wanted to be in international development, so I did social anthropology, which is about people and culture, and then I was like, no, I also want to know about policy, so I did a master's in social policy and international development, and then I went into public sector because I thought that's a good way to get into international stuff. I decided when I did my master's I didn't want to work in charity sector because there was too many red tapes. Red tape means you want to do something, but you can't do that because of that, you can't, so I decided not to do that. I decided I wanted to become the Prime Minister, so I didn't want to do that because I wouldn't get anything done, and there's too many, the parties wouldn't let me do anything. So what I decided I was interested in is governance. So governance is kind of, why isn't something working? What's going on? What could you do there to make it better? So the plan is if we went into Nigeria or African aid, or if we went into kind of Africa, what is going on with African governance that's not allowing us to do what we need to do well? And so if I think about where I am now and that dream, I guess it would be how do we innovatively think differently to make Africa's international shite go well? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
We
have one more question for our sister before she takes a seat. Yeah.
You know, for you to get that job there, what was the security clearance like? Like, what's the
For
capability?
which one? Oh, okay. So, as a government consultant, you need the Home Office. It took 6 months to get it. They paid 10,000. So the company pays £10,000 to get me security. It's called SC clearance. Like I can't access information unless I have the clearance. I can't go into the building. I don't deal with it. The company deals with it, and I have to do interviews and stuff and send them information. But because I work in the role could be in the Ministry of Defence, so I need to have the basic clearance, or it could be in, I don't know, so I've worked for like DFE, so that's Department of Education. So I've done that. So do you know what I mean? Because it's always in the government and public sector. So at the basic level, you need basic clearance, which I have, and an SC clearance for some projects.
Thank you so much.
As opposed to learning that you have to as opposed to thinking that you have to box yourself into one or the other. The key thing that we've tried to do here today is not to tell you all about ourselves, but to teach you about maybe some of your areas of interest and how you can get from having fuzzy ideas into having concrete professions that you could potentially get into. Also, it's also to expand your mind that if you're studying a particular course at the moment, you can get from a course that you don't really know what to do with into an area that you didn't even know that you could if you have some sort of focus. The key thing though that's here is that, like I said yesterday, every single one of Jesus' disciples had a profession. So everyone has to have something that they do, whether it's football, whether it's music, producing. Everybody has to ensure that there's something that they do, and you speak to someone that has a better perspective than yourself. In that case, also it's good to do research, find out what other people have done to get to where they are. Speak to people that can help you. Speak to people about CV writing, about interview tips. With regards to any short courses that you could do, perhaps some companies you could work for free where they won't pay you, but they'll train you. It's key to get from one to the other. So for some people, it's been quite lengthy for us to study this, but it's important because it's the difference between finishing secondary school, not knowing what you want to do, being on a BTEC course and thinking it's the end of the world, failing your GCSEs and thinking it's the end of the world. Much like Robbie said, and the teacher said, I'm not very book smart. Well, let me say I wasn't very book smart either, but with resilience and maybe associating with the right people and soft skills, like Robert Tolu said, I've been able to find my way, and I think that's key for everybody to learn as such. So if you're not doing so well academically, it's not the end of the world, as long as you have an idea of what you want to do. But if you give up and you feel like, oh, I don't even know what I want to do anyway, then you're not helping yourself. If you work in a supermarket at the moment, there's some key skills you can learn from there also. It's not the end of the world. If you work in retail, there's some key skills you learn from there. Every single place you work, it's like gaining some new set of weapons. You gain a new set of skills every single place you work. If you work in a supermarket, you can work. If you work in a supermarket, you learn how to work under pressure. You learn how to answer different questions. If you work in retail, you can work under pressure. You can answer different questions. If you work in maybe social care, you learn different kinds of skills. Every single place where you are, there's a set of skills to learn. Once you start working professionally, also you learn some new skills. You learn how to reply to passive-aggressive emails.
Ask for my email.
You know, exactly. As the email I said earlier, you learn how to reply to all of those things. I don't know what else to tell you. Even for meetings that you may not have prepared for, to go in there and learn how to become a swan, where you're cool above water, but underneath you're crazy. I don't know what this meeting is about actually. So there's a set of skills to learn everywhere. And the truth is, the skills that you learn outside of this environment, you apply here. Like you see, Tolu, the project manager, he applies that here. Gab's a business analyst, I'm sure he applies it with the choir. Sister Jules, being a prison officer, who members in the choir. If you come late, you know what happens to you. And same thing with Auntie's vast experience and how she deals with every single one of us as well. And
And the same applies to me, much like Gabs, I'm a business analyst too, so a lot of those skills I apply here, and there's lots of note taking and working with different people, but soft skills also, stuff that I work with. Some of you people aren't even as crazy as the people I work with, to be honest. You don't even bother me in comparison to some of the people that I work with, because there are people that can get you sacked. If you upset them, you guys can't do nothing to me. So I'm not at all worried, to be honest with you, but there are people that can get you in a lot of trouble. So that's why I'm able to take those pressured environments and bring them here. So my employment, my encouragement to everyone is ensure that you work on something, find something that you really enjoy and speak to people that can help you, because every single one of Jesus' disciples had a profession. None of them were just there like doing that. You know, even pastors now, I think that pastors should write books. I think they should take on conferences also. I don't think we should pay in pastors for any reason. They need to train people. We shouldn't have people on salaries without them actually giving back as such. Even though their pastoring is their job also, but if they wanted extra income, this is me being political. If they wanted extra income, then I think they should write books or take on conferences, teach people things, go away, learn things themselves, and not just one-dimensional. The world has moved past that now. We have to ensure that we are adding something back to
What was the name of the man who persecuted Christians?
The one who led the snake came and took Abram the Hebrew, and he dwelt by the temple tree of